It's important to recall the importance of human rights education as a prerequisite for realizing all human rights. If we do not know what rights are and how to protect them, how can we claim them or enforce them? The resource emanated from a project coordinated by the Office, and all the Office as a whole participated in it. And it brings together the many provisions establishing the right of all individuals to know their rights and the obligations of states to provide and promote human rights education. Therefore, it underpins the fact that human rights education is a right in itself and is a clear obligation under international human rights law.
The objective of this side event, obviously, is to launch this new resource that you see in my back, online resource, on human rights education. But also, I would say, to publicize the work of 5 networks, international networks, that work for human rights education and which reach out, I would say, without exaggerating, millions and millions of people in terms of human rights education activities, initiatives, and so on. This is a living document, and that's why it was decided not to have it in this format. This is the predecessor, actually, of this web resource.
Another element, obviously, is to ensure that human rights, that the Declaration on Human Rights Education and Training is mainstreamed within the system. The objective of all of that was to end up with a text that aimed to bring together various elements of human rights education and training, and that it could be used as a tool by civil society, governments, and others in order to promote human rights education and training.
When we work on human rights education, sometimes we need legal background, legal instruments about human rights education. So the publication of 1999 was useful but out of date. So this web provides a quick reference to such international instruments and legal grounds. So that's very useful us for sure, and we can refer to this often. It also helps for the civil society stakeholders, especially when they practically need to use these instruments in their work, in writing documents, articles. That would also help, I thought.
And this, of course, brings me back to the wonderful web resource that's being created and that's being launched here today, because it's such, I think, an incredibly useful tool, both for people that have been delivering human rights education and training for a number of years, to have everything in the one place that's going to be very helpful to them. But also, if you're going to start off delivering human rights education and training, it's a fantastic launchpad to start to see where that framework.
HRE 2020 welcomes the opportunity provided by this web resource to remind governments, to remind civil society, and also international human rights mechanisms of the existing commitments to implement human rights education. And we look forward to future continued cooperation with the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and with all of you in this regard.
The reason why we are collecting here, but also to show how we value cooperation among all of us, whether we work at different levels, again, governments, national institutions, civil society, intergovernmental organizations. And again, maybe it's to come back to your point, we really see this as a cooperative effort in order to further our common cause, which is human rights education and, as a matter of fact, human rights overall, because our niche is, anyway, contributing, we believe that, to the realization of human rights.